Hey guys, good to see everybody again. This here is the brand new Brocock Atomic XR pistol. Today I'm quickly going to get you around it, and then I'm going to slowly take you through it and share with you what it is that I've learned so far, and then we're going to dive deep into some tuning and a few other things. But before we get started and all of that, if you are new here, this is not my main YouTube channel. This is an offshoot of, or a sister channel to, the Airgun Exploration and Advancement channel, also called AEAC Home. It is over there that ultimately you will find a full review of the new Brocock Atomic XR pistol. What that means to you is 25-yard accuracy, 50-yard accuracy, refill test, trigger test, sound test, and a whole bunch of other stuff. You'll also catch factory tours over there, event coverage, and trade show coverage from around the world, and a whole bunch of other stuff. So go check it out, AEAC Home, and get subscribed in both places. All right, so Brocock is out of England, and they have recently added the Atomic XR to their already popular and well-established lineup of the Comado, Commander, Sniper, and Concept Light. And if you don't know, Brocock is owned by Daystate. And if you don't know, the North American distributor for Daystate and Brocock is Precision Airgun Distribution, which is owned by Airguns of Arizona in Phoenix, Arizona. And it is they who sent me this to review for you guys. Okay, so quick end-to-end. 0 dB moderator. This is an aftermarket component. They run about $270 for this one you see here. Lothar Walther match grade barrel, which is shrouded and choked. Up above, these are a couple of Brocock OEM accessories, these pick rails front and back. They run about $100. I think it's 80 and 20 for the $100 for the set, or 80 and 20 for the two pieces. Transfer port adjuster, it is 3 clicks, so you're controlling the aperture of that transfer port for fine tuning, and we'll get into that later. Side lever cocking like the other XRs. 11 round magazine. It is the new Brocock magazine. It is phenomenal. I wasn't able to trip it up in over 500 rounds, including polymags, and I'm getting ahead of myself, but let's keep marching on down the gun here. Air Superiority, which is a new accessory brand invented, owned, and managed by Airguns of Arizona, or Precision Air Distribution. This is an external hammer spring adjuster. So external hammer spring adjuster, transfer port adjuster, and on the inside, a Huma regulator. Add all that stuff up to a Lothar Walther match grade barrel, and we are well on our way to a lot of fun if you like air guns. All right. Mil-spec buffer tube. I don't know who makes the buffer tube in Castle Nut. It is sourced in the UK somewhere. I'm assured it's good quality, and it is mil-spec. I have pulled it apart several times, and it is certainly nice. Mission First Tactical AR buttstock. This is the good stuff. I run this particular stock. It is my personal favorite. I run it on my ARs and on my AK buffer tube conversion kits. Very nice touch. Turning the gun. No, I'm not going to turn the gun around because there's nothing exciting to show on that side. Dual stage match grade Brocock trigger. This is the same trigger you're going to find in the Comado, the Sniper, the Commander, the Concept Light. It is adjustable. It's one screw. This one came to me perfect. I wouldn't fiddle with it. I'm guessing its break weight is probably 2 pounds-ish, maybe 1.5 pounds. We'll get into that in the full review over on the other channel. This tub you see underneath here with the lower accessory pick rail for bipods and stuff. That comes standard. And your air reservoir is 265 cc's. Teeny, 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 tiny. Considering that Huma regulator probably lives like right in here somewhere, and the manometer, which is right up on the front here, threads into, gosh, probably at least this area here. You've probably got about this much area of compressed air, and it runs a 250 bar fill. Quick snapshot, you are, well, let's call it 16 to 20 foot-pounds of energy in this pistol in 22. It's available in 177 or 22 currently. I'm guessing that's where they'll leave it because that's where it makes the most sense. I had the most success with accuracy with it at 16 to 20 foot-pounds. 16 to 18 is even better. But again, we'll get into all that. true mil-spec AR grip here with the little finger tangs on it. So you can swap out for your own, again, as well as the buttstock. This is a 6-position buffer tube also, before I forget. The bipod is a BR4 G2, I think, by AEAC. And I don't think that I'm forgetting anything. Oh, it comes with a single shot tray, although I never needed this. The magazine housed everything, including polymags. This here is the little thread-on adapter for the 1/2 inch UNF threads that sit right here. It is pretty loud and snappy without the aftermarket moderator, something to consider. This bit here is, this is standard. This is an 11mm accessory rail. These two pick rails, guys, they fit on an 11mm rail that's machined into the top of the receiver, both front and back. So you can leave that blank, attach your scope or whatever straight to that, or you can run this, which is a little bit of a riser. I found it very helpful in getting the pistol scope kind of out where I needed it to be for the eye relief. By the way, this is a Viro pistol scope. These run about $100. You can get these at AOA. This is a 2x20. It's all I needed to do well at 25 yards. Duplex reticle. Good cheap stuff. Sports match mounts as always, and this is the Mamba MTC ultralight 3-12x40 AO scope, also illuminated. Did a full review of this in my last review, both on this channel, Airgun, and the Airgun Exploration Advancement channel. I liked it so much that I'm going to run it here on the XR. And you're looking at about $1,500 here for, and let me just kind of, because this was confusing for me in the beginning. 3-year warranty, by the way, through Brocock here in the United States, guys. So for $1,500, you get, and I'm going to take all this apart so you can see how to take it apart and put it together. I'm going to show you the different, how to affix the different OEM external hammers, OEM internal hammer spring adjusters and Air Superiority aftermarket accessory external hammer spring adjusters. I'm going to show you all that, how to put it on, take it off, how to change this from pistol into carbine, and so on and so forth. But you're about $1,500 or so bucks here for the pistol, okay, which is basically pretend you don't see this here or the scope on top, okay, the pistol with this 11mm riser, okay. You do get included with the pistol the external transfer port adjuster, the Huma regulator, and an Air Superiority external hammer spring adjuster, which will sit right about like yay. Okay, so that all comes with the price. You also get included in there the mil-spec buffer tube and the MFT Mission First Tactical buttstock. Okay, and included with this buffer tube and this buffer stock for that package price at AOA is this internal hammer spring adjuster, which just threads onto the end of your buffer tube. Okay, kind of lives right up in here, and I'll show you how to work this when we get into some of the other workings of the external hammer springs. But it has been a really good week with this pistol. You know, for those of you guys that have been following me here on this channel and the other one for some time, you know that I really like tuning. I enjoy that puzzle. I enjoy learning, and then I enjoy being able to relay that on over to you guys. And what's excited me about this is a backpack thump gun, guys, right? We're going to have it in pistol form. We're going to have it in, you know, short carbine form with or without a moderator. And you're, you know, I say 16 to 20 foot-pounds because that's where the gun wanted to be. You can run this down lower. The marketing literature that I read on this, if I remember, said up to 120 shots at 4 foot-pounds. And then I think it said something like 30 shots at 16, 17, 18 foot-pounds, something like that. You got to check out AOA's Facebook page and their Instagram and whatever else to get the lowdown on that. Now, I kind of agreed with that, and here's why. Yes, if you were going to use this in your basement in the wintertime to plink cans or whatever 30 feet away, and you're okay with $half sized groups at those distances, yes, you can run this down to 300, 400, 500 feet per second. What I found is I wasn't getting pellet stability until I got between that 690 and 720 foot per second window consistently across 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 different types of pellets and everything that you see over here. That's where the gun wanted to live. I was able to push it as high as 20 foot-pounds with an additional washer on the hammer spring, and I'll show you that later. But as the gun comes to you with one washer or spacer for that external hammer spring adjuster, you're going to be able to run it up to about 17.5, 18 foot-pounds. The added washer gave me an extra 2. Frankly, the gun didn't like it a whole lot. The accuracy didn't get bad, but it definitely opened up at 25. If you guys are like me, when it comes to expensive pre-charged pneumatic air guns, acceptable accuracy to me is 5 on 5 and a quarter inch at 25 yards, or 10 on 10, or 9 out of 10 and a quarter inch at 25 yards, because you got to allow for bad pellets. It's just part of what we do in the industry. If that is not you, you can get more shots out of the gun. If you're okay with $half at 50 yards, 25 yards, which is perfectly fine because it's still a very viable pigeon popper, at those speeds and velocities. Or if you're in the barn and don't want to go through the farmer's roof, it's perfect for that. But again, we will get into all that. So let me run kind of tip to tip and share with you what it is that I've learned. If you're new here, what I'd like to do with this channel is bring you guys in on my learning as I work my way through the gun towards a full review over on AEAC Home. I typically spend 1 to 2 weeks completely learning these guns inside and out so I can relay all that information to you guys with great confidence and, feeling like I really know where I'm at. And today I feel like I really know I feel like I know this thing better than the manufacturer. Because truth be told, I've been sharing information with Airguns of Arizona, Precision Airgun Distribution, Brocock, what have you. And they're going, oh, wow, really? You got that out of it? That's good. Wow, we didn't expect that. So the message is, I'm not being boastful, but if you guys put in the time with the product and not rely on what you read on the forums and not put all of your eggs in one content creator's basket, and really just take it upon yourself to learn the product inside out without looking at anything anybody else is doing, you can really get a long way with it. All right, so these, let's just go tip to tip. These 0 dB moderators, 270, so not cheap. They do significantly quiet the gun down. These are made in Italy by Brocock Daystate. I don't know if final assembly point is the UK, but I'm pretty sure that these are machined out there. Been using them for a long time. Great moderator. They come with or without the blast diffuser on the end. All this does is reduce flip a little bit at the expense of some noise. Now, when you look over at AOA or wherever else you want to shop for these things, they have these little star designations on the front. 2-star means 2.5 and 30 cal. All right. 1 star means 177 and 22. Okay, the closer you can get to the actual caliber of the pellet, the quieter the gun will be. But you don't always get your best stability there. I got my best stability at 25 yards running the 2-star, which is a 25/30 cal moderator on a 22 cal gun. Very simply, why is that very simply? Because we're reducing turbulence around and behind the pellet when you give it a little bit more space as it's flying through, as that pellet's flying through these baffles here. I ran a simple test. Actually got it right. Nope, I didn't bring it. But you'll have to take my word for it. Accuracy was good with this one. 3/8 inch at 25 consistently. But every once in a while, one of these pellets would get a little bit too close flying down the center of these tubes, and you'd get one that kind of skirts out 1/16 of an inch. you want super, super tight pellet on pellet, just go ahead and grab the 2-star. And this is probably going to be the go-to also for 50 yards. This is a pistol, guys. I should be testing it at 10 and 25 yards. It breezed through 25 like nothing. So I am going to push it to 50 and see what happens. We are only dealing with 17 to 18, 16 to 20 foot-pounds-ish here. So wind will be a factor, but it is what it is in regards to that. So as far as noise, like I said, both of these quiet this gun down significantly. To the ear, there's very little difference between the two. So it's not like you're picking up a whole bunch of sound deadening running the 1-star over the 2-star. Every gun may be a little different. So if you already have a 1-star, don't run out and buy a 2-star. Your 1-star may run really well with your gun. It just depends on how everything kind of lines up and how concentric everything is with the bore. You know, in this moderator. Okay, so that's the 0 dB. Oh, by the way, these come in different colors too, guys. They have blue, they have red, they have different lengths. They have kind of a kind of a mamby-pamby looking, you know, pattern, or they have this one, this badass tread pattern, which I really like, and that's why I run it on my guns here. Okay, the barrel. Lothar Walther match grade choked, very short. So you're running what from here to, it runs to about right there. Okay, very interesting. So one of the really cool things about getting a gun like this is, one, it's been a lot of fun departing from 30, 40, 50 foot-pounds, pushing big heavy pellets to, you know, 875, 910 feet per second, pushing slugs to 1,000 feet per second. This is not that. This is a different game. It's been very interesting living in that area of pellet stability in that, like, you know, 650 to 750 foot per second window. I was really eager to learn that and share that with you guys. And getting a chance to review this, it forced me to learn my way through all of that. And I learned some really, really cool stuff. And I'll share with you the whys behind what I think. I'll share with you what I've learned and the whys that I think are behind them as we get into all that. But what was also interesting with this barrel is, you know, barrel cleaning is a big part of, you know, to be an air gunner. Over 500 shots through this guy at that 700 feet per second-ish range with a 14 to 18 grain pellet and 0 lead. And I was cleaning like 2 or 3 with the patchworm and a little bit of ballistol. So for those of you guys that don't like to clean, I found that very interesting. Running a thump gun, you know, 15, 20 foot-pound thump gun, you don't really have to clean it. I don't think ever. I don't foresee accuracy going away. There's a little bit of graphite and manufacturing oils in there that keep the pellets nice and keep things lubed up, but that doesn't I've never seen that detract from accuracy. Also interesting, on a super spot, squeaky clean start, it was pellet on pellet right away, right out of the gate. So there was no seasoning required. Also something kind of cool about this barrel and the Lothar Walther match grade. All right, transfer port adjuster. So it's 3 clicks, 1, 2, 3. I experimented a little bit on the mid click, and all it did for me was kind of reduce velocity into an area that destabilized the pellet. However, once you get your favorite tune on the gun, I would encourage you to experiment with that, because one of the caveats, guys, to a short barrel on an air gun that's making 18, 20 foot-pounds of energy is you need to move a lot of air through there to get the power, because you know, that's just the nature of the beast with a short barrel. You take a short barrel and a long barrel, you move the same amount of air through them, you're going to get more speed and power out of that longer barrel. So, you know, efficiency becomes an important factor. On that note, guys, I'm kind of amazed that like this much air, like 250 bar, is getting me like 40 shots at 16.5 foot-pounds. Or 20 shots at 20 foot-pounds. I mean, I didn't expect that. I'm trying to remember. I reviewed the Wyrow HW44 a while back. I think it was in 177. You can catch a video here and on the other channel. I think that was a 15, 16 foot-pound deal, but I don't think I was getting anywhere near the shots as this. And that was a $1,000 deal, if I remember. So, you know, 1,500 for some of you that are having a heart attack in your seats right now. Yeah, that's a ton of money. But for that extra 500 bucks, you know, you're getting a Lothar barrel, you're getting a Huma regulator, you're getting an MFT buttstock, a mil-spec buffer tube, you're getting an air superiority external hammer spring adjuster, an external transfer port adjuster, side lever cocking like the Sniper and the Commander. I mean, a lower pick rail, a riser, 11 millimeter. I mean, there's just a lot that you're getting. A single shot tray, Brocock's new magazine, which is phenomenal. That 500 bucks, they're really stretching and putting a lot in there. I know when I was first throwing all this stuff on Instagram, a couple of you, you know, were choking on your own spit at the price. And man, I get it. Air guns are expensive. But as far as the topography of the air gun world, I think it's competitive for what you get. 3-year warranty as well, guys. You know, good stuff. I almost forgot where I was at. Okay, so transfer port adjuster and efficiency. So this is basically going to be used to, because there's a big cough out of this gun if you want 20 foot-pounds out of it. If you want 16 to 18, runs pretty lean and mean, pretty efficient. But with that big cough, it starts getting a little bit wasteful, a lot wasteful of air, you know, to wring that 20 foot-pounds out of it. You know, bringing this guy back a click, closing that aperture can really help with efficiency. It can also help with reducing that big burp of air behind the pellet that's going to give it that instability, because you've got so much air coming around it when it comes out, when it exits the barrel into the moderator here, or just goes through the little end cap, that by dialing that back a little bit, you can reduce turbulence and pick up some accuracy. So what I'm trying to say is I would encourage you to play with that. The side lever cocking, let me see where I am on this hammer spring adjuster. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. Okay, so that's probably 19 foot-pounds-ish right there. I don't know if I can cock this in place. I probably can't, because I should have told you, you're about 5 pounds for just the pistol with a scope and rings, okay, and this guy, and full of air, and a mag full of lead, and you're about 6 pounds as you see it here with this big scope, with these two Brocock accessory pick rail adapters. And so, you know, it's a light deal. It really is a light deal. You're 24 to 28 inches long with the carbine, and the buffer tube, depending on how you have it adjusted. And the pistol is 15 inches long, if I remember. But, all right, so let's see what happens here. Get this back into a place where I'd actually use it. All right, so. Now, with the cocking, when you're on the gun, it's light comparative to other guns. And then the forward throw is nothing. The only thing slowing you down is that probe gets in that breech. There is that little O-ring that kind of seals things up. It can be decocked. If you wanted to see the trigger go, here it is. Oh, let's see. So I'll do it this way so you can see. So the first stage, boop, nice resettable. That feels about 2 pounds, maybe 2.5. We'll get the gauge on it next week when I get out into the pasture to do the full review. The grip, this is going to be tough. You know, I like to see a straight grip on here, because to put the little tangs out here for your fingers, it worked for me, but depending on your hands, it's just not going to work for everybody. There's also a storage compartment. I can see why they picked this grip, probably because it looks cool, feels good, and there's a little storage compartment down in here. Is there a storage? Yeah. Yeah, storage compartment down in the bottom. You can put batteries for your scope in there. Put a baggie full of pellets. I mean, whatever. Maybe a little patchworm cleaning kit. They make them small enough to fit in there. like you'd need it for this gun though, right? But yeah, this is the good stuff. Huma regulator. Everybody knows Huma. This regulator is so damn happy. It seemed to fall off at about 110 bar. It's a 250 bar fill. I couldn't trip it up. As long as I kind of stayed in that 16 to 20 foot-pound window, I only needed this external hammer spring adjuster to do all of this. And that's a kind of a big deal, because as you've seen in other tuning guides I've done, you know, it's like herding cats. You know, you got your transfer port, you got your rebound, you got your regulator, you got your hammer spring. You're like trying to juggle all these balls, you know, to make things work. This was not that. So if you want to learn your basics in tuning, this is going to be a fantastic gun for you. You basically follow the rule where if your shot chart looks like this, you increase your hammer spring pressure. If your shot chart looks like this, you decrease your hammer spring adjuster, and that basically levels things out really nicely, as I'll show you here in a little bit. But this air superiority external adjuster, it's just a little click deal. Hear them clicks? Yep. And the way I set up all these tuning guides is for you, and I'm going to share them with you, is max minus however many clicks. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. Kind of gives us a good... These guns are probably going to come to you running 17.5 foot-pounds-ish. So I'm guessing that's probably 5 to 10 clicks backed off a max. You really can't screw them up, especially with all these guides I'm going to share with you are really good baselines where you want to be for all these different pellets to get a good balance of accuracy, efficiency, harmonics, and power. I know power is important to you because some of you want to reach out to 50 yards and some of you want to have that little extra muscle to plug the bigger critters. All right. Magazine. So Brocock swapped out its magazine about 2 years ago. No, it was a year. I'm so screwed up with COVID now. So please forgive me. This magazine's phenomenal, guys. I first was able to review it on the Daystate Red Wolf 177 about 6 months back. And it was so impressive. I couldn't trip it up. No matter what, I ran slug after slug after slug through this thing on that review. I didn't run slugs with this gun because the power's not there to stabilize them. The speed isn't there. But it likes polymags through here, and it likes a bunch of other stuff through here. I never once even fiddled with the single shot tray. I didn't have a need to. It's nice that they include it, but I don't foresee you ever using it unless you're the one that just likes to sit there on the bench and cock, drop one in, and go, 200 times a day. But the magazine is better than superior. What I like about it is these little holes are machined so well. When you drop all your pellets in there, you can see which ones, it's almost like a pellet head skirt measuring gauge. You can almost see which ones don't seat right away. And so if you're in competition where big money's on the line, like at the Extreme Bench Rest or whatever, that's a good little secondary backup gauge for you. Little shooter's tip here. Seat your pellets. And I did remember to bring this one out for you guys. So I was experimenting back and forth with, you drop all your pellets in here. Some of them will just drop right through to the bottom. And others will want to kind of float up here on the top. If you get a floater, take a ballpoint pen or whatever, an Allen wrench, and lightly push them till they kind of fall through into the bottom. This is why. So here's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Here's 6. 7. Shot 7 little groups at 25 yards. I was probably shooting like a 1589 or a 1435 JSB. I don't remember. It's last week. But you look at this group, through one, through one. You look at this group, through one. You look at this group, through one. So they're throwing 1 and 5 consistently. You look at this one, through one. All right. That's what you get for not seating your pellets and letting them float up there on the outside. As soon as I took, this is all the same pellet. As soon as I took the same pellet, seated it, now I'm shooting dimers. And then I verified one more time, another dimer. I was probably doing a shot chart, one of these shot charts that you see here. So Little pro tip, seat your pellets, get better accuracy. That's going to be even more important when you start wanting to stretch things out to 50 yards. Certainly, if you don't seat your pellets, you're well within the center mass kill zone on a pigeon. You know, if you want to get sloppy and it doesn't matter to you. But yeah, just something I learned that I wanted to pass on to you guys. And I would encourage you to do that in all your magazines, no matter the brand, because you may pick up some accuracy. Why do I think that is? I'm guessing that when you cycle this and this probe that you see here pushes the pellet through the magazine and into the breech, you know, there's some tolerance around the pellet in the magazine and in the breech, believe it or not, a little bit, and so that all these different manufacturers will fit in there. Brocock, they do that on purpose. And that pellet might be going in a little this way, a little that way, this way, whatever. And the more you can kind of stabilize that push, where it's not pushing at an angle, the more consistent that pellet's going to be seated in that breech. That's my guess. I don't have Superman X-ray vision, but that makes sense to me, and certainly in the test, that's what I was seeing. All right. These air superiority external hammer spring adjusters, they run about $150. You do get one standard with the pistol. If you want to run one with your carbine, as you see here, you're going to need to spend another $150 on top of your $1,500. If you want an external hammer spring adjuster. If you're okay with the internal hammer spring adjuster that the buffer tube, castle nut, and MFT stock come with, or MFT butt pad comes with, then you don't need to do that. This is not a bad deal, guys. So the way this works is this just screws on the end of your buffer tube. Two screws to pull this out of the back of the gun. I'm going to show you that after you get the little tub chassis off. And the way you adjust this is there's two little set screws that are made of plastic up at the top. And you're going to take this little probe here, which is basically controlling the depth into the spring. So it's controlling the preload on the spring. And you're going to move it out like, 1/16 of an inch and try it. And a 1/16 of an inch and try it. And so on and so forth. Try it, lock it up, and push it in there. The reality is, guys, once you set this gun up, I'm owning this gun. I'm setting it to shoot 695 to 720 with my favorite pellet. Whichever speed gives me the best accuracy consistently in the wind. Check it in the wind because shit changes in the wind at 25 and 50 yards, and I'm going with that. Okay, so it is not a huge deal just to go with this. You're going to spend a day of your life fine-tuning your favorite pellet to shoot well with this, and then it's going to be a set and forget, honestly. This isn't the type of gun that one day you want to put it in eco mode and shoot, 1435 expresses, and the next day put a 20 grain slug in there and trying to toot it for 30, 40 foot-pounds. This isn't that. So you can get away with this. But if you want easy and you want to really, really be able to fine-tune, cough up the extra $150 for the carbine external hammer spring adjuster. Because what I found in these is that velocity absolutely mattered. I ran so many tests where I would take a pellet at 25 yards and run it 715, 720, I did that backwards. 720, 710, 700, and then boom, and that group's going, 720, 710, 700, 695, and then as soon as you get to 685, 670, whatever. I did that for like 5 or 6 different pellets, and it was the same every time. This gun wants to live at 700 feet per second, 690 to 720, with whatever you put through it. So, but it's sensitive. 2-3 clicks, you're going to find these sweet spots where you get extraordinary efficiency for that much air. And you get good power, good clean harmonics, and stupid accuracy at 25 yards. The inherent accuracy is there. 50 will depend on the wind. So this is not a bad deal. I will tell you, Daystate and Brocock in England, oh my God, with a freaking Loctite on this thing. There's a lot of Loctite that they put on this. I was glad that I was able to get it off without damaging it. You can see a little bit of marring from my crescent wrench on the edge there. Totally not necessary, and let me tell you why. So I've got this castle nut torqued to like 5 foot-pounds, all right? And this thing hasn't moved in like, I don't know, 6, 7, 800 shots. Now, if I took this and went bam and hit that hard enough, it's going to spin loose, yes. But for your everyday stuff, guys, you know, you're hunting, you're sitting on the bench or whatever, if you don't drop it, it's not going to move. If you're worried about it, stake it. Stake it just like you would an AR. It takes about 30 seconds to do that, and they're not too hard to undo. But get there first. You certainly don't need to tighten this down tight to go on and off with this for your tuning. Just something to mention so that, you know, there's no need for you to be afraid of it, all right? Manual safety, paddle safety. Yeah, it's good coming off. I just don't like how it's, you know, it'd be nice in this area where you can go on, off. It's an off deal. You know, where you go off. If you want to put it back on, you got to take one hand off of the gun. You know, that's just the deal. That's the Brocock paddle safety. It's got a moderate stiffness to it. Feels good. Doesn't feel cheap. Feels solid. A little bit of a coarse throw, but it does the job fine. Nice metal trigger guard. You can adjust the gun through the bottom of the trigger guard. They have all the appropriate apertures there. Metal trigger blade. Got a nice feel to it. Okay. Fill port. Right on the bottom here. Something that I did notice. There it is, right there. You got to line this, of course, like you do. If you want to run a bipod, you have to run it rearward. If you run it up here in the front, you can't get to the fill probe. Just something that I noticed that was a little bit irritating until I was like, you know what? I finally caved and moved it backwards, and it worked fine backwards. It was actually better backwards because I have a center of gravity that's closer to me, you know, if I'm going to be on the ground or, you know, up in the trees or whatever. And I got great accuracy out of it, so the balance and the harmony worked just fine. That's it. Let's get into accuracy and then tuning, and then I'll close it out showing you how to take everything apart and put it back together. So the biggest takeaway, blanketing statement for accuracy, aim for 700 feet per second. No matter what you shoot. If it's a 14 grain, aim for 700. If it's an 18 grain, aim for 700. There's something about 700 that this gun just really, really, really liked. And as I said, if you deviate too far out of that, below 690, accuracy starts to fall apart. Above 720, accuracy starts to fall apart. I did try pushing some GTOs and some Barracuda greens with that second washer and the hammer spring, which I'll show you later, to the higher velocities. Like, you know, we know from all our other guns that pellets stabilize at 850 to 880 very well. Redesigns will go to 910 and the wind well, but that's kind of your sweet spot. So I was trying to get to that 850 and I just couldn't quite get there with all this stuff and the way this gun's set up. So you can't get up into this area. So you might as well just live in this area and recognize that this is a niche gun. Again, it's a thump gun. It's a backpack gun. It's super light to carry around in the woods and pop small game at 25 to 50 yards. For those of you that think you need 30, 40 foot-pounds of energy to humanely take a squirrel, rabbit, pigeon, whatever at 50 yards, you absolutely do not. We'll get the lab radar on this when I get it out to 50 yards, and you'll be able to see the foot-pounds of energy that these pellets are both leaving and arriving with, because that tool tracks it with Doppler radar from muzzle all the way to a paper. And it's plenty. Point being, when you come down on the power, you get a much more docile gun that is easy and fun to shoot consistently well. You guys have heard me preach that for 5 years. I would much rather have a gun that has good harmonics, doesn't have a lot of flip and buck, has a quick, snappy shot cycle without a lot of dwell time, and isn't moving around. Those are the guns where they're just so easy to be consistently accurate with at 25 and 50 yards. And this is that. This is that. It's fun. It's a different kind of deal. But just recognize it for what it is. Not going to be for everyone, but I got a feeling a lot of people are going to appreciate it. Because if I appreciated it, shooting all that stuff, I think you guys will too. And you may not understand that until you pick, shoot a buddies or buy one for yourself and you're like, man, this is fun. Okay, so accuracy. So you want to live around 700 no matter what you do. I'm getting ahead of myself with the tuning. I'm not going to do that. But did very well with the JSB 1435 Express. Did very well with the JSB 1589. And did really surprisingly well with the JSB 1813. I was ripping 10-shot groups at 25 yards back here just to make sure. And that pellet was happy at 20 foot-pounds. You're getting 20 shots, but it was very, very happy there at 702 feet per second. So Air Arms 16 grain did really, really well, around 700. Here was a nice surprise. The Crosman Premier Hollow Points. I bought these off the shelf. Crosman Premier Dome. I buy my Crosman Premier Hollow Points off the shelf at Walmart. These came to me right from Crosman. But I freaking love these things. And it feeds them and shoots them great too. Not a lot of guns are tolerant of the loose tolerances that these pellets are manufactured with to keep the price down. But this gun does great with them at 25 yards. So big money saver there. H&N Terminators. Wicked, wicked little pellet. Do you remember when we were kids and we had our Crosman 2100s and our RWS, RWSs, and we'd put the wad cutters in there? We'd pop those English Sparrows from 30 yards away and it'd go whap! That's exactly what this thing sounds like. Rifling through this gun at 700 feet per second, and it absolutely loved these H&N Terminators. Okay, I mentioned polymags. It did okay with polymags. Certainly good enough 5/8 inch groups at 25. It wasn't the pellet on pellet that you'd see out of some of this other stuff. I tried all sorts of different speeds to stabilize these guys. I tried the shorts, which are a little bit lighter, trying to stabilize them by like 1/10 of a grain, 2/10 of a grain. Couldn't get them really stabilized, but you can certainly shoot nicklers at 25 with polymags if you want another pellet that goes pop. All right. A lot of you have been asking me about this on Instagram. If you don't follow me on Instagram, that's Hooked on Air, all one word. And that brings you in on my day-to-day learning. So my hour-to-hour, minute-to-minute learning. As I see it and learn it, picture and description goes up on Instagram. So if you want to get out ahead of these videos, check me out there. Same thing, Facebook, but Facebook is more of a post-conclusion, industry press releases, that kind of stuff. But a lot of you were asking me, does it like the Hades? Does it like the JSB Hades? It doesn't like the Hades. It loves the Hades. It loves these so much. In fact, I gave it its own tune right there. For you guys. Came up with a good AEAC Pro tune for these where you'll get the absolute best accuracy. Experimented at a lot of different velocities. I found the sweet spot, 704 feet per second. 20 foot per second extreme spread, 5.8 standard deviation for 17.5 foot-pounds by 31 shots. That much air, 31 times, 17.5 foot-pounds. And 10 on 10, guys. Stupid accurate with this. And I cross-checked these going from carbine form to pistol form with this air superiority adjuster just to kind of see if it was the same, and it was basically the same. There might be some fine tuning in there of up to 5 clicks, let's say. I'll get into that with you. But yeah, it doesn't like these Hades. It loves them. So if I'm buying this gun, For 25-yard work, you might as well pick up some Terminators, some Polymags, some Craftsman Premier hollow points, and some Hades, and go to town in the barn. But if you want to stretch out to 50 or 100, you're probably going to be better off with 1435, 1589, 1813, or the Air Arms 16 grade. You'll probably get a little bit better stability out at those ranges. Give you an idea. That's the pistol group I shot at 25 yards with this duplex 2x20 reticle. I couldn't even see the black. The crosshairs were completely covering the black, and in pistol form, that was 5-on-5 with the Hades, confirming these pro tunes. On that note, guys, any tune that I give you, I verify for accuracy. So you may have an Airgun tuner, YouTube content creator, forum, keyboard warrior, whatever, giving you like these big power tunes, these big long efficiency tunes, and they may be validating their work. But anything I give to you, I validate, and by that I mean I check that accuracy at 25, 50 yards, whatever, depending on the platform, 100 yards. And if the pellet stays true to those distances, then you have a good, viable shot chart. Okay, tuning. Stand by. I'm talking so much, my throat's dried out. And it's Florida, and y'all know how freaking humid it is down here. Okay, so let's just run through them one at a time. JSP 1435 grain, 250 to 100 bar. It falls off the regulator at 110. Some pellets, due to how they seal, their weight likes the way the hammer spring and the rag and the transfer port is set up. You'll get a couple of more good shots after it falls off the rag. And as you can see in this specific chart, you see the little tail down. When it comes off the rag, you know, it floated 3 or 4 or 5 shots, which is, that's the hallmark of a great tune for your gun, guys. As long as you're getting accuracy out of the pellet that you're shooting in that tune, the accuracy that you want. One washer on the hammer spring. What do I mean by that? Well, never mind. I'll show you a picture. That's easier. But basically, you got your hammer spring and a little washer that falls in here. The gun will come with one. If you want another one for 2 more foot-pounds of energy, you're gonna have to buy one from AOA, or you could probably go down to the hardware store and figure out your own. But one washer, hammer spring max minus 26 clicks. So I'm maxing out the hammer spring clockwise, and I'm counting backwards 26 times. 1, 2, 3, 4. You guys get it. All the way to 26. Wound up with 39 shots at 15.89 foot-pounds. That's 16 foot-pounds, okay? Our buddies in the UK, guys, get 12. I think it's 12. And they do just fine at 50 yards with all their rabbits, so plenty. 706 average, 23 ES, 5.5 standard deviation. That's a pretty good tune. Little bit choppy as you come across it. That's because of the relatively light hammer spring setting. Another tuning basic. As you can put more preload on that hammer spring, it opens and closes that valve quicker and with more consistency. So sometimes when you go the route of more efficiency, you give up some of that standard deviation as you go. But it doesn't matter. As long as you're within 20 to 25 feet per second, you ain't going to notice a difference at 25 or 50 yards anyway. Okay. Moving on to the Walmart special, the Craftsman Premier Hollow Point, 250 to 110 bar. This is a much harder pellet. They're like little rocks. I don't know what they put in them, but it's not the mushy lead that you see in some of this other stuff. So they don't seal as well in the barrel. Okay. So it's interesting that a lighter weight pellet didn't have the efficiency. Well, no, not lighter weight, same weight, 14.3 versus 14.35. The efficiency isn't as good because it's not sealing in the barrel well. So you probably get a little bit of wasted air. You know, anything that happens up in the breech, all of that works its way backwards as far as, you know, it's back pressure on the valve and the spring and all of that stuff, and then the efficiency of the opening and closing. So it matters. One washer, hammer spring max, minus 15 clicks. Brings you right to 721 feet per second. It loved 721. This is another pellet. I can't remember the exact, but I remember trying it at like 690, 710, whatever, 715, and they were like, okay, they were shooting quarters. And then, man, as soon as I hit 721, it was like pellet on pellet. And the takeaway for you and me there, guys, is that when you're tuning your air gun, if you're not happy with accuracy, 5 feet per second, one way or the other, absolutely matters. I actually bounced that off of a couple of the air gun manufacturers, the big successful ones, and absolutely they say the same thing. 5 feet per second makes a big difference one way or the other, i.e. the importance of being able to easily tune your gun. 721 average, 10 foot per second extreme spread. 10, guys. At whom is it work? 2.6 standard deviation, 16.5 foot-pounds. Out of a Crosswind Premier hollow point. I'm in heaven. I remember when I reviewed that Benjamin Marauder 3 years ago. That thing was like 22, 23 foot-pounds with that big giant rifle. God, you're nipping at the heels. You can get there almost 20 foot-pounds. But another really, really, really good tune. Okay, you'll notice the shark's teeth aren't as prominent. Things are flattening out a little bit here. For whatever reason, just it liked that pellet. Okay. The Hades. All right. 17.5 foot-pounds. Yeah, I know you want to push your Hades to 20 foot-pounds. Don't. The accuracy is going to go away. It's going to go away at 50 yards. It did for me. Or I know it will because it did at 25 for me. Accuracy is the most important thing. So control yourself and give the gun what it wants. You'll have more fun hunting because you'll be able to take those long lobs and the pellet will go pellet on pellet right where you want to every time. And the only thing you'll have to worry about is what's the wind doing and what am I doing with my elevation, and that's it. Okay. All right, so the Hades 1589, 250 to 110 came off. All these are coming off pretty hard at 110. They're humming along, and all of a sudden you'll see 15 foot per second drop. Then another 15. So they're coming off the reg hard. Because the tube's so tiny. There ain't no air in it. This is my ProTune pistol. So what that means is I slap my little pistol scope on here. I slap my air superiority external hammer spring adjuster on here. Had one washer in it, and it was max minus 30 clicks. All right, with the Hades. If you haven't figured it out yet, when you come watch my vlogs, it's good to grab yourself a notebook. Something to scratch some notes with. Because there's a lot you can take away. But 31 shots, 704 feet per second, 20 foot ES, 5.8 standard deviation, 17.49 foot-pounds. That is a good popper out of a little bitty gun like this. All right. That's where you're going to want to be on the Hades. And the accuracy, man, was awesome. Something you want to be aware of with the Hades. I don't see a lot of other content creators talking about this. I don't see any of them talking about it. But every time I put a Hades in an air gun review, when I get out to, filming the full review, which is 50 and 100 yards with rifles, 25 and 50 with pistols and springers. That Hades loses a lot more steam between 25 and 50 yards and 0 and 25 yards than does the 1589 JSB. So something to be aware of. To me, that makes it more of a short range hunter because you want to take advantage of that expansion, right? So just something to be mindful of. Okay. Air Arm 16 grain, phenomenal pellet. If you're saying, oh, that's the same as the JSB 1589, it's not. And if you think that you've missed my JSB factory tour video in the Czech Republic, where at the end of that video, I was asking Pavel, the owner, the operator, the owner just passed actually last year, Mr. Bohuman, God rest his soul. But I was asking him a bunch of myth-busting questions. Air Arms has their very own die at JSB that JSB uses only for the Air Arms pellets. They are a little bit different. And so it's always worth trying them. And I tried them and I got spectacular results in accuracy, and I got great results when it came to the tune. 29 shots, 17.6 foot-pounds of energy, 704 average, big surprise. It's where it wants to live. 20 ES, 4.6 standard deviation. Hammer spring max, minus 8 clicks. Very interesting how those clicks kind of differ from pellet to pellet. And I'm guessing that has a lot to do with just how they seal in the breech and their head size and that interface with the barrel as they go down. But what did I learn? Another one likes to be at 700 feet per second out of this gun. And I know I said it before, you can push them harder, guys. But if you want that, if you're a stickler like me and for 1,500 bones, you want pellet on pellet at 25, and you want half-inch groups at 50, be disciplined and give the gun what it wants. All right, Terminator. Nasty little H&N Terminator, 1636 grain. 250 and 110 bars. This is another Pro Tune, 1 washer, hammer spring, minus 4 clicks. It's a 16 grain like the Air Arms, but it's an H&N. They use a harder alloy like Crossman does, so it's not going to seal quite as well. So it wanted a little bit more muscle on the hammer spring. And as a result, you get a little bit fewer shots. Now we're down to 26, but you'll also notice with the more muscle, the more preload on the hammer spring, a lot of those little shark's teeth go away. So things are happening faster. That valve is snapping. That valve is snapping, opening and closing faster. So you get less air waste, more consistency, probably a little bit more air waste. 1 washer, hammer spring, minus 4 clicks. 704 average. Okay, I aimed, guys. If I was getting 695, I was trying to get that average up into the low 7s. It doesn't have to be 704, but on all this stuff, if you're 705-ish, you're probably going to be home. And that's what I did. I aimed to get that whole average, that whole string, right around 705 with these tunes for you guys, because that's where I saw the best accuracy. 704 average, 16-foot extreme spread, 2.9 standard deviation, 18 foot-pounds, which is nice for a 1636 Hunter. Okay, if you want to run a little bit more power than your Hades, go with that Terminator and you pick up a half a foot-pound, a whopping half a foot-pound of energy. All right. All right. JSB 18 grain. Everybody loves the 18 grain. Why? It's heavy, so it carries its power further down range. It's more resistant to the wind. If I live in windy Utah or windy Arizona or Florida 6 months of the year, in the wintertime here we're very breezy, like those two states. In the summertime we're very stagnant. It is brutal outside right now. You're gonna want to sacrifice some of that efficiency for power so that you can fly straight in the wind. I'm gonna guess where this gun is going to be. At 50 yards, you're probably going to see at 18 to 20 foot-pounds, a 1-inch deflection and a 3 to 4 mile an hour crosswind. That's where you're going to be. So 1 to 2 inches, let's call it. So the heavier you can go, if you're going to be out in the wind, you're going to be thanking yourself, because that's the difference between zipping one by the beak and putting one in the noggin where you want it. But 698 feet per second. I was aiming for 700. This other one here is actually, yeah, we'll get into that in a second. But I was aiming for 700, but the problem is then I was trying to hit 720 shots. But a good compromise was 698. You're not going to notice a difference, and 20 shots. All right. 19.62 foot-pounds. It's called 20 foot-pounds on a hot day. 698 feet per second, 11 foot per second extreme spread. Tight. That anytime, little trick, guys, if you want to get a tighter ES, tighter standard deviation, also go heavier. It slows down all of that inner workings and mechanics and puts a lot of preload and pressure on everything. so you get less waste, good efficiency, and everything opens and closes with a lot of force and definitiveness inside the gun, that valving. 2 washers, okay? So we've got our little post here. We drop in 1, 2 washers, drop in the hammer spring, tune it, dropped in 2 washers, back that hammer spring way off. Hammer spring max minus 53 clicks. But I couldn't get here on 1 washer. But 2 washers backed way off, I could get there. I could squeak out that extra 2 foot-pounds of energy for 20 foot-pounds and 20 shots. 2 washers, hammer spring max minus 53 clicks with the JSB 18 grain. All right. Now, if you are very particular natured, as am I, and you can't stand seeing 600s on your chronograph, you have to see 600. You have to see 700s. Well, this one's for you. 702 feet per second with the same pellet, the JSB 1813, 8 foot per second extreme spread. Whew, 2.2 standard deviation, 19.84 foot-pounds of energy. So I picked up 2 foot-pounds of energy, 2/10 of a foot-pound energy. Is that right? Yeah, 1962 to 1984, and I lost 2-3 shots. So the takeaway there, guys, is if you can be disciplined and run 698 and not 702, then you're going to get another 2 or 3 shots out of it, which can be everything on your day of hunting, especially if this is a backpack gun when you're deer hunting or turkey hunting, or whatever. So, you know, those are the values I want to impart in you as a as a tuner. Okay. 19.84 foot-pounds of energy, 702, 2.2. Hammer string max minus 45 clicks. All right. And we are home. Right? That's the basic takeaway of tuning. If you want to learn how to tune regulators, which this one is not tunable unless you're going to take it apart, take it out of the gun. This air tube is removable, by the way. So if you want to fiddle with that, more power to you. I don't know what territory you're going to get into. I will say this. If you're like, oh yeah, I'm going to get me an atomic and I'm going to make it 25 foot-pounds or make it 30 foot-pounds by 10 shots, I would encourage you not to do that. And the reason I say that is because as I went from 17.5 foot-pounds to 20, my groups opened up a little bit. And that's because there's so much air running behind that pellet to get it there on this little teeny barrel that as soon as that pellet comes out of the muzzle, it's got all this air swirling and tumbling behind it. And that pellet starts going like this downrange a little bit. And it just has a hard time stabilizing, especially through when you elongate the runway. Okay. It's a better gun at 17.5 foot-pounds than it is at 20. It's a better gun at 16.5 foot-pounds than it is 20. But I knew some of you that would be important to you, so I did the work. and there you go. All right, so I do want to hit this quick, and then I'll take it all apart and show you how to put it together. It does come with a Brocock General Owner's Manual. So this covers the Compado, the Concept Light, the Sniper, the Commander, all the XRs. And then it comes with its own like little leaflet. I got confused by something in here, and I don't want you to get confused, okay? But here's the short of everything they tell you in here. And this leaflet tells you how to take it apart. And it's super easy. When you are running the internal hammer spring adjuster that is included with the gun, so the pistol, the buttstock, the buffer tube, you know, all the stuff we talked about, you do not use the washers with this. You don't. You only use the washers with the aftermarket accessory air superiority external hammer spring adjuster. This is invented by Airguns of Arizona, Precision Airgun Distribution. And I'm presuming this is too. On that note, if you live in the UK, this is going to be carbine only. For now, anyway. if you live in the U.S., they cut the carbine comes to Precision Airgun Distribution for North America as a carbine, and they convert it into a pistol / carbine kit by adding on their little air superiority deal and whatever. So also just something to be mindful of. From what I understand, Daystate Brocock is working on their permit with England so that they can do pistols over there. But at the moment, it's carbine only, which honestly, guys, having that third point of contact on, like, this thing is stupid accurate as a pistol at 17.5 foot-pounds. Like, I was cocking it, leaving it on the bench, and just, you know, it doesn't move around. It's really happy with that tune, with those tunes that I showed you. Stupid accurate as a pistol. Okay? But that is harder to shoot in the field. Having that third point of contact up here makes all of the difference. So us here in North America, even though you can shoot it as a pistol and it is fun and it fits in the backpack nice that way, I don't know if y'all are like me. I mean, I received it as a pistol, and the first thing I did was say, F that, man. They've come up with an NFA SBR air gun right here, and I am all over this. So that third point of contact makes a big difference in being able to be stable when you're out there doing your hunting. And it's nice, guys. It's mil-spec. Good stuff. So, yeah. So that's what this is all about. So no washer, because I guess the way this is made, it doesn't need that. These are probably made with a shorter probe. Yeah, you can see it. Shorter probe. So they need the washer, or a second washer if you want to play. I don't know what AOA is charging for those, but it's not like they went to a hardware store and bought these. They have these milled. They have these turned to their specs. You want a loose-fitting washer. If the washer's tight, it's going to bind. And if you go to Ace Hardware or Lowe's or Home Depot, you get your own washer, and you're finding that you're making these hammer spring adjustments, and the gun's not doing what you're telling it to do, and it's because that washer is that's supposed to be floating on here is binding inside here, and it's not moving up and down freely. Ask me how I know. These are turned down to have a lot sloppier tolerances because I got the gun early and started playing with it before I was allowed to talk about it. And I was like, yo, guys, it's going to work a lot better like this. And it did. But what you guys are going to get are going to be nicer. You're going to love tuning it. Okay, let's make some room. Want to? Get all this stuff out of the way. Put some of this down here so we don't scratch the wife's countertop. And I will show you how to switch between pistol and carbine. And I better do it pretty quick because I got to pee. So, if you've made it this far in the video and you've hung with me this long, you deserve to know. Thanks to Airguns of Arizona and Brocock Daystate, this is going to be an RDW. If you're new here, RDW stands for Review, Discuss, Win. That is where I review a product. We all go over the Airgun Nation forum. You have these big discussion threads on the product, and then they have a simple lottery-based giveaway where you very simply pick a number, write it in the thread there, and then Michael makes a video at the end where he picks a random generator, and one of y'all wins the stuff that these companies are giving away through us. It's been a goofy year with COVID. Normally we're running multi-$1,000 giveaways every single month here at AEAC. It'll get kicked off on the main channel, the Airgun Exploration and Advancement channel, and it is with great pleasure that I can pass on to you that thanks to Brocock and Daystate over in England, this RDW is going to be open to the UK as well as the US. But here's how it's going to work. You don't win everything that you see here, okay? If you live in the UK and you win, remember, you can't have a pistol over there yet. So Brocock will ship to you directly from wherever over there the carbine, okay? You don't get a scope. You don't get all the stuff that we have over here. Like H&N gives me pellets to give to you guys. JSB gives me pellets to give to you guys, as well as H&N gives me hats. Patchworm is going to give me cleaners for this. You don't get that stuff because I'm just not going to send that to the UK. And not because I don't love you all, but there are some international trade laws that are protecting the stores over there that prevent Michael and I from sending you free stuff. We get into big trouble. And that's been the challenge behind the scenes with it all, okay? If you live in the US and you win, there will be one winner. We will not have one winner in the UK and one in the US. We will have one winner, whoever it happens to be, okay? If you win and you live in the US, you get the $1,500 package as you see it on Airguns of Arizona's website. What that means is the pistol, not this, the pistol with the air superiority external hammer spring adjuster, okay? The mil-spec buffer tube and Mission First tactical buttstock, and this internal hammer spring adjuster, okay? You get the 11mm riser. Okay, you don't get the aftermarket accessory Brocock pick rails. Those are mine. You can buy them if you want to. They're $80 and $20, $80 and $20 over at AOA. And of course, you get what comes with the gun. You get a single shot tray. You get a magazine. Thanks to Sports Match Rings UK, they give me scope mounts to give to you guys. I'm going to give you scope mount. Okay, and Airguns of Arizona is going to give you a Virao 2x20 pistol scope. Okay, I'm going to keep this one. They're going to ship it to you directly from there. Yeah, and that's going to be it. So what will happen is it's going to take me about a week to film the full review. Then it's about a week in the chair putting it all together. It's all weather dependent. We just hit hurricane season here in Florida, so my life's about to get real miserable. But next week I'm going to be out there filming, and I'll try to get that knocked out fast so that we can keep going. But you'll see the event kicked off with my video there, and also at the Airgun Nation forum. Okay. Everything's going to be stickied over at the Airgun Nation forum. I'll put descriptions in my, I'll put links to there in the description of my video. So you're not going to have any trouble finding it is the point. And I want to thank my UK followers. About 10% of my 80 or so thousand subscribers now. Y'all live in the UK. So thank you. It means a lot. Really. It's super cool. So it's I can't honestly take credit for this. This was Michael's idea. Michael is the owner of the Airgun Nation forum. He was very much wanting to open this up to you guys. So if you want to give anyone a pat on the back, give it to him and thank him over at the Airgun Nation forum. Something he's been working hard on for you guys. It's just tough with the international trade laws. All right, so let's break it down. Okay, so let's get the scope off first. It's a good place to start, huh? Of course, there's one. Hopefully I didn't put it on too tight. I didn't. So the scope comes off really easily with these Sports Match mounts. Yeah, there it goes. Just some little pick rail mounts. Set that off to the side. So then you've got these two aftermarket moderators that they're OEM accessory, is more accurate than after moderators that Brocock makes. And let's see, I forget what size it is. It's that size. And what would that size be, Steve? That's a 3 mil. Slides right off. There's one. Let's get the other one off here. My hands are shaking like an old man because I'm hungry. And I am an old man. Look at all the gray in this beard, guys. I'm going to be 48 this fall. Fuck, that's old. All right. It just slides right off. So there they are. Okay. If you're going to own this, I'm picking this up. All right. If anything, you know, this is, it's kind of like machined out like an AR. So to get your eye and, you know, the fashionable thing now on AR so that you don't got to get all in here is to run a really high red dot. So I'm at least getting that pick rail riser up here to get the scope where I don't have to get too far down on it. So something to consider. All right. Okay. So you could run your scope right on here if you want, or your little red dot or whatever. Okay, you can run this up here. All right, you can run this. You can't run it there. You're not going to have clearance for the magazine. You can run it back here. Okay, this comes with the gun. This is included in the package, this little riser, which is a really, really keen idea by those guys. All right, but we'll put it up here just because it looks cool. And that was smaller. That was like a 2.5. Yeah. I'll run that little 2.5er up there. All right. And let's see here. We'll put our little BSA pistol scope up here. Finger tight's good for now. Now, when I was on the bench looking through the pistol scope, like so, I was wanting it up here, okay? But for some reason, when I'm kind of proned out up here, I was wanting to move this back here and run the pistol scope further to the rear. So you're just gonna have to dial that into to your eye relief. All right, so let's get rid of this so you get a good clean view. You can get a good clean view of this like chassis tub down here. See it? Okay, this whole tub on the bottom is very easily removable with these 4 screws. 1, 2, 3, 4. You see here around the trigger guard. Okay, and that's how we're gonna get in. So let's see here. You don't gotta go tight with this stuff, guys. Like a foot-pound or 2 is what I was running, and I didn't have anything open up on me. All right. The reason we're going in here is to change from carbine form to pistol form. All right. Now, a word of caution, when you get to, all right, when you get to the screw that is under the cocking lever, this one here, under the cocking lever, under the transfer port adjuster, there's a spring underneath it that puts pressure on the ball detent that pressurizes, what was it? Oh, that pressurizes the transfer port adjuster. Duh. I told you I had to pee. I think it's, my molars are floating. It's starting to overflow my brain. All right, so just pull this straight off, and there's your chassis tub. Okay. Super, super cool. All right. I do want to share with you guys, I noticed, there's that spring, by the way. When I was on the bench, I got more accuracy out of the gun, taking my thumb. I tried all different stuff, but when I ran my left thumb, okay, and put a little sideward pressure on here with my grip, and then with this side, you know, gave some counter squeezing, like so, that's how I got the best groups out of the gun. So a good firm grip, squeezing equally from both sides. So I actually found these, they look cool and they save weight, but actually I found them to be useful for accuracy, all right? So we're just gonna set that right here. But see, here's that little spring, okay? It's not like it's gonna launch out on you. It's not that kind of pressure, but if you turned it upside down and carried it across the house, you're going to be crying because this sucker's probably going to be gone. All right, but what you'll see these 2 screws, and that's all it takes. So it's 1, 2, 3, 4, and 1, 2 to change over to this guy. And here they are. Okay, there's nothing that's going to fly apart here. It's not under that kind of pressure. And there's 1. Whoa. Speaking of flying. And 2. All right, and once you bring those 2 screws out, there it is. And there's your hammer spring and your washer. That's all there is to it, guys. All right, so now I take my pistol air superiority adjuster and I drop in, so you guys can see this, a washer or 2, and then my spring. Okay, and I very simply It's got these two little holes. Where are my two little holes? There they are. See the two little holes right there and there? Right? That's for these guys. That's where the screws line up. So you just put it in there like that. It's all very exciting. And, you know, if you're not trying to talk an audience through this, you could do it in like 2 minutes. Okay, you don't got to go crazy tight on these. Do put a little bit of pressure here. I'm pretty sure these screws just get this thing indexed and get the clearances exactly how you want. You don't need this tight, just a little bit snug. And then you take your little chassis guy. You can actually, what's cool is the way you line it up with these four is I peer through here. And when I peer through here, I can actually see that spring. There it is. And it helps to index that way. That way you know where you're at. I'm particular, so I'm going to lightly seat all these to begin with. Thunderstorms are coming, guys. It's building out there. We got like 50 to 70% chance of thunderstorms like every day for like the next 4 months. So I'll really be glad to get out of here and get on the road for you guys with some of this event coverage later on this summer. All right, so now I am a pistola. All right, so here, let me just set this aside to show you this quick too. So how do I go from, so if you purchase this Air Superiority external hammer spring adjuster, this is what comes on here. All right, so you got to go down to your local armory for 20 bucks. You got to get a AR castle nut wrench. You break that free, and which is the easy part, believe it or not. And then you unscrew this. If you can get through that freaking Loctite Brocock, and you just unscrew this one, and you just screw this one on, and it'll stop, not properly indexed, and then just back it out until it's properly indexed, and then, you know, which winds up being like half a turn or something like that. And then you're good to go. And then you tighten your castle nut down. The way I did this is I actually put this on the counter, got the gun on the tripod, bipod. Tripods are for cameras. Put a little bubble level on there, and then, you know, put my 5 pounds of pressure on my castle nut, and I was good to go. All right. This next part, so there's your pistol, guys. I don't know if I'm totally in frame here with my James Bond, but there's your pistol. This next part I'm going to get a little creative for because YouTube doesn't like when we show this kind of thing. And there's your pistol without your moderator. Abracadabra, hocus pocus, and all that good stuff. 1/2 inch UNF threads up here. It's a very simple thread on, thread off. Guys, you talk about it. I mean, 17.5 foot-pounds is the sweet spot. 16.5 to 17.5 by 30 to 40 shots. You want to dial it up to 20 by 20, you can. Is it going to be for everybody? No, but I think this is going to get a lot of people excited. I really do. And I can tell you, AOA has been working their ass off on this. This external hammer spring adjuster works the same as this. You know, they're two different components, so you might have a 5-click difference than all of the tuning guides that I showed you. But you can see the dial on both ends. You can hear it. So max it out. Gently max it out. So you max it out where I'm putting a little friction on here. It stops. You don't want to be binding it up and then start counting backwards. Those number of clicks that I gave you, and you're going to be in a really, really sweet place. You all want to hear it without the moderator on it? Actually, let me do this. Let me get this in the right place. So we're going to max this out, minus about 10. Probably about how they're going to come to you guys. And stick it out. Fucking loud. Loud, loud, loud. So, yeah. I don't think I left anything out. What I did leave out, we will cover on the full review over on the Airgun Exploration and Advancement channel in approximately 2 weeks. If you have any questions for me, hit me up in the comments below. I always read them. I love answering them. I love you guys. Thanks for spending so much time with me. And I hope you enjoyed the Brocock Atomic XR pistol / carbine regulated, externally adjustable hammer spring, externally adjustable transfer port, Lothar Walther barrel, Homer regulator, bunch of good stuff. See you guys.